How's everybody doing? This is very important information in reference to many cities and states. As you can see, my upper lip is still swollen from the satellite man. And in reference to the information things, it's very important that every city and state demand records information of my identity. So, you know, I own my mother and father's companies in every city and state, in all the businesses in every city and states, in all the states, you know. So in reference to the information, it's very important. The activities of people that have tried to call me a fake. You know, the real protocol's in the media 24 hours a day. It's a documentation of my identity and who my parents are. So in reference to the information, you know, people need to demand to see particular information of my identity, who I am. And I own my mother and father's mansions in every city and state. And in reference to my identity, it's been documented since I was born. So in reference to these people that are trying to steal the estates of my parents, whoever these people are, what credentials or what documents are they trying to use? What reference material have these people been trying to use in their activities of trying to steal my identity? And what makes them think that they would just make up slanderous things to terrorize me or to defamate my character all these years that these people have played these tricks? Where did they get their so-called information from? Nobody, obviously, with any real credibility. Real Protocol's been in the media since I was born. Documentation of my identity and who my parents are and who my grandparents are documented in basic information too. And my family names of my mother and father and grandparents. And you know, my grandparents, or my mother and father, came from my grandmother and grandfather on, you know, both sides. You know, like my mother came from my grandmother and grandfather on my mother's side. My father came from my grandfather and grandmother on my father's side. My information is documented in reference to many things: genetics, fingerprints, birthmarks, beauty marks, and scars. And it even says in the Royal Protocol, I am the only child, and I am the only heir to the estates of my mother and father, which my parents gave me everything a long time ago. These bad people are trying to pretend like they don't know who I am or something, or they're conspiring with the impersonator. And that impersonator has tried to steal my blood, and their impersonator has tried to get plastic surgery to try to steal my identity. So whoever their plastic surgeon is, whoever their conspirators are, those people have to get prosecuted. The information of my identity has been documented 24 hours a day, every single day, since I was born. And hello Beverly Hills, and hello Hollywood, and hello media, and hello corporations, and hello Wall Street. This is very important in reference to a lot of things. Very important to the history of factuality. These people that are trying to play these games, where did they come from? Who are they? What political people are conspiring with their person? Or the person they're using? Obviously, those people have trespassed on my mother and father's properties, and they've tried to fool people. Or these people tried to fake credentials of companies that I'm the owner of. All the credentials are copywritten. Their misuse, or any individual faking or forging their identities trying to steal my companies, must get prosecuted. Plus, they can get charged for endangerment of the companies and endangerment of employees, these government people that are doing this. It's always never signed, never, never gave, never, never sold, never, not ever going to, not never. I'm the owner of my mother and father's estates forever. I got kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions. The Beverly Hills Police Department and the state of California should have it on record the day I got kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions. And North Carolina, I got kidnapped from North Carolina when I was younger too. Got kidnapped from New York City when I was a little boy too, or when I was younger. Yeah. So in reference to the information, these government people and their tomfoolery of people trying to fool people with their lookalikes or their plastic surgeries or whatever they're trying to do, who do they think they are? These people will say, oh, they had an identity crisis or something, so they thought they chose to steal my identity because they were confused about their lives. That's illegal. So in reference to every city and state, people can demand them to do news stories on my identity and who I am and who my parents are. So these government people trying to play these tricks, it is illegal. And the media has to do news stories on my identity. The Royal Protocol's in the media too. It's there just in case government tries to steal the estates or government tries to steal my wealth or my identity. Because I'm the owner of my mother and father's estates, and I own media companies too. So in reference to executives or business people at any of my companies, they're supposed to advertise my identity. They're supposed to say who I am. Obviously, as everybody knows, I've already been through a hell of a lot of abuse. And a lot of people didn't know who I am, is what they claimed. But then they claimed that they were friends with my mother or father. I was always with my father and my mother wherever we went most of the time. Meaning, like, I was either with my mother, or I was with my father, or I was at school, or I was at one of my mother and father's mansions and my mother was there or my father was there. But I pretty much was with my mother and father all the time. And then I was in school sometimes, you know. So in reference to people, or I was performing in the media, but then my father and mother was at the studios too. So in reference to the studios in Hollywood or the studios in New York, they need to do a story, a Dateline story or something. And the Royal Protocol's in the Dateline shows too. It's in all the different late night news report shows or those types of shows where they have like 2020, 60 Minutes. It's in those shows too. The Royal Protocol's in all the media information and the shows and the movies and the commercials, and it's a documentation, a blueprint of my identity. My mother and father's estates are two of the most documented estates in world history, and the fact that I'm the only child of my mother and father, and that I'm the owner of the estates of my mother and father forever, no matter what anybody else ever says. And in reference to political government or bad people that are trying to block me from my mother and father's mansions, these people are holding on to the property keys illegally. It's a violation of law. They haven't sent me any letters in the mail. I've not received any postal mail with any information of where to pick up any property keys to anything. And don't forget, I got kidnapped from California. So in reference to the information of people playing tricks, the Royal Protocol's in the media. It blocks government from trying to control my life or any type of activity of government trying to steal my companies or businesses. And any person making any accusations, slandering my character, those people need to go into court. It is very important. It's always very important. So when these people have played their tricks or their lies or their manipulations and tried to claim that they didn't know who I am, it has to be court cases. Is there any executive or an employer, or not employer, but any employee at the companies that don't know who I am? It has to be known at every branch of every company, every location of every business, who I am and who my parents are. It is a requirement of corporation law, business laws, and the factual information of me being the owner. And executives and business people can't work at the companies if they don't know who I am. And I've always been a friendly kind of person. I'm really nice, but I'm the owner of my mother and father's estates, and that ain't never gonna change. And Royal Protocol's in the media forever. And reference to the satellite man that's done this bullshit trying to damage my teeth because somebody made some fake pictures. And then they tried to damage my teeth like those fake pictures. Did anybody find out who the person was that made those fake pictures? Because my dental records have been on record every single year since I was born. So in reference to government trying to play tricks or trying to confuse people, or the person that made those fake pictures and then tried to damage my teeth, and they have damaged my teeth trying to make me look like some other fucking person or some picture that somebody else made. Those are not pictures of me. I have always had beautiful teeth. They damaged my teeth, and they did it intentionally. And the court system knows it. The government knows it. Now the point of it is which people in government and which people in the court systems need to get prosecuted. Royal Protocol's in the media 24 hours a day, and it is a documentation of my identity and my factual position of ownership forever. Never signed, never, never gave, never, never sold, never, no matter what anybody ever says. No matter what anybody else has on paper. No matter what anybody else thought they were going to make up on paper, or what they were going to say was some type of government front man or some type of person that was claiming they were the representatives of something. It's always never signed, never, never gave, never, never sold, never. And then people will say, well, you weren't going their way. Well, it's my companies, my businesses. They need to go start their own businesses and companies. I'm the owner of my mother and father's companies forever. Forever. And people need to demand in different cities and states for it to be public in the media, public information, you know. It needs to be in museums. It needs to be on TV. And that's one of the reasons why the Royal Protocol's there, because they don't have a right blocking my information of who I am and who my parents are and what I'm the owner of. And a lot of people like to know what I'm the owner of because a lot of people feel safer that way. So it's very important that people in every city and state call media individuals or, you know, talk to people. And it has to be mentioned in the media. The Royal Protocol's there. It has to be mentioned. And the satellite man's tried to mess up my speaking when they have damaged my teeth. So in reference to the satellite man, ask them, ask the government why they did this to my teeth. And who are they trying to confuse me with? My dental records have been on record the whole time. The American government's had records of my identity the whole time. And who my parents are, because my parents delivered the information to the Treasury and other places. My mother had court cases against the government. So in reference to these people, whoever they are, the information needs to be made publicly known in the media. Immediately. Breaking news. So in reference to these people denying my identity, who are they? Where are they from? They can't possibly be working on any of my mother or father's business properties or any of my properties in my Third Empire, because they have to know who I am. So it's very important that it's publicly mentioned in the media. And I haven't received anything in the postal mail. I got kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions, and the government was expecting me to work and save monies just to try to get back home to my mother and father's mansions, when I'm the owner of the property keys. And the government's blocking me from my trust funds. Meaning, I got kidnapped from California. I got kidnapped from my mother and father's estates. And these people are trying to make me have to struggle just to get back home, because I guess the government was friends with the kidnappers or something. Which is treason. It's violations of international law. for the government to conspire against me in any way, shape, or form. And the Royal Protocol is forever. Documentation of my identity. And they need to do news stories. I'll do some public television interviews or some interviews on television shows. Royal Protocol's in the media 24 hours a day. It tells you who I am. And that should have healed a long time ago. But they have been burning on it and damaging it every single day. So obviously there is somebody that had teeth like that, and they've tried to make me look like that person. Well, my identity is copywritten on the highest level in the world. Plus the Royal Protocol's in the media. So who is the person, or what is the person, someone might say, that has played these games of trying to steal my identity? And where did those people come from? And what is their DNA? And what are their fingerprints? And what is their race? And what is their religion? I think everybody in the country would like to know who the impersonators are that are trying to steal my identity. Most people probably wonder that, huh? So these government people need to go to court. People need to get people in court and find out who they are. It's very important to the factual history of law and the facts of right. It's very important to the deeds offices. And it's very important to a lot of people in this country. My parents gave me everything, and I'm the owner of everything, of my mother and father's estates and my grandparents' estates. Plus, I'm the owner of my third empire. I'm the owner forever. So, reverence the government people playing tricks, or business people trying to play tricks on me. People need to go into court. And the news media needs to do stories on the timeline of this situation. Because this has taken a very long time in reference to people stealing the postal mail, people blocking me from my mother and father's estates that I got kidnapped from. I got kidnapped from my mother and father's mansions. And then there was some man, I guess, he tried to call me a stand-in. And then he tried to steal my blood and my DNA, and then he tried to claim to be the DNA that he stole from my body. Doesn't make no sense now, does it? The government man has to go to court. Hello, Colorado and other cities and states and ski resorts and beach resorts and many things of importance. Things have to be seen in the media.